Well, I think it says everything about how this season's gone that I even managed to mess up recording the relegation episode. So, yeah, we've already been relegated. Hello and welcome to part 103 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our final game of the season against Millwall, who, interestingly, managed by Omar, one of our former players, who's been having a few digs at me in the press. But you know what? He finished bottom. We're not going to finish as low as him, even if he beats us. But we have been relegated. We went into the Reading game. I mean, this run of form, we were always going to get relegated anyway. But this run of form, this Reading game, we went into that 5 points behind. And I thought, well, we're probably safe playing it. What are the chances of us losing? Well, they're pretty good. But what are the chances of us losing and the other teams winning? Because no one was winning any games at this point. I wanted to do a two-match episode to end the season. And thought, well, we'll just play the Reading game and then we'll probably get relegated against Hull and all will be fine. We were relegated against Reading when results didn't go our way. So I thought, I may as well play the whole game anyway. We don't need to watch two matches when I've already been relegated. But what we will do is we'll play this last match of the season, partly because it's Omar and partly because we probably should. And then we'll have a little chat about what the plan is for next season when we are going to be back down in League One. I haven't been sacked and I'm not going to be sacked. If we just have a look, the board are pleased with my management of the team. So they don't care that we've got relegated. In fact, if we look at competition performance, they're satisfied with overall performance across various competitions because we were always supposed to get relegated. We looked a couple of episodes ago about how we've got the joint lowest budget in the entire division. We're operating on a wage budget that's like League 2 level, and there's teams in this division operating on a Premier League wage budget. So we were always going to struggle. We were always going to go down when some idiot spent £1 million on Miles Darwin rather than strengthening the defence. That kind of rubber stamped it. But fingers crossed we can move him on because we do need to move people on. We've had our budgets for next year. We have no spensies next year again. We're back down to a more familiar looking transfer budget. There'll be no £1 million signings this summer. The wage budget has reduced slightly. So we're £10,000 a week over it at the moment, the next season's wage budget. But it's nowhere near as low as it was the last time we were in League One. And we won League One at a canter, largely with these players. So if we can, obviously the big miss is Andrew Skelton, who we've seen comparing this season to last. He is a difference maker. He pretty much single-handedly kept us in the Championship last year. And without him, we just haven't been the same. So I think we need to spend a season of just trimming the wage budget, getting rid of some of the unnecessary players like Darwin. If anyone wants to give us close to the £1 million for him that we paid for him, I'll happily take that. Anything like £750,000 plus, and he's gone. And not that he's a particularly poor player; he's still one of our best midfield players. But I want to get that mistake, that overspending off the copybooks as soon as possible. So moving him on seems to be the best way to do that. Him aside, I think I've mentioned that was probably a mistake. Losing Sir Tom Elliott was a real struggle when it came to dynamics. And the other thing we've struggled with this year on dynamics is if we have a look at who our team leaders are, Joe Anderson, Dan Fisher. Well, Joe Anderson is unhappy because he wants a new challenge, and because of that Dan Fisher is also unhappy because he's worried about the dressing room atmosphere, which is largely caused by Joe Anderson. So I think as part of our clear out we need to move on both Anderson and Fisher. Their team leaders are unhappy, and we've got as far as we've got through using dynamics really well. And I think we're probably going to have to move the two of those on as well. Some of the loan guys aren't going to come back next year as well. We've got Ruggles tied down for another season, which is massive because he's scored 17 goals in the Championship this season. He is going to tear League One apart next year. So to have him is good. Most of the other loanees, though, will be going back to their parent clubs. And most of them I don't think I'm going to renew. We might keep Ibrahim for a yet another year just because it amuses me that we're doing that. But looking at the rest of the squad, I was supposed to play the match before this, but I've gone straight into the post-mortem. Matt Symes, he's out of contract with Chelsea in the summer, but you know what? 5-star potential, my eye. He's scored 5 goals all year. I'm not interested in paying big money to keep him. Albert Richardson goes into a similar category. He's not been good enough. We've had him for 3 years now and he's never been good enough. There's no point spending money on him when his contract is up. That's us making the bid for Ibrahim to try and keep him here for another year. That's to extend that till the end of next year. He's not our best right back anymore. but I just like the story with him, so we will try and keep hold of him. Alex Barber will almost certainly be a top midfield player in League One, but I doubt we'll get him. We certainly won't get him for a reasonable price. So we're probably going to have to accept life without Barber as well. Flores is another one who I'm probably not going to bother with. He's been part of this defence that just hasn't been good enough. So we don't really want to be building around him unless I've already got him tied down to the end of next year, which I have, of course I have. So Flores is going to be here and he's great. So let's play this last game of the season, then we'll continue to chat about what the plan for next year is as well. But I've gone quick pick full rotation for this last game just to see if there's any hidden gems that we've not been playing that we should know about. The only one who seems to have jumped into the team is Macaulay Ross, who's 21 years old, defensive midfield player or central midfield player, who we've had since the start of this season. He played in our last game as well when I did full rotation. So apparently he's pretty close to first team football. We'll see if he's any good today. He's not going to be a new Skelton though, is he? Let's get into the game. Let's see what kind of mess it makes. So we've got Griffiths in goal. A back four of Taylor, Hughes, Hutchins and Ibrahim. Darwin, Squire, Bill, probably for the last time. And Ross in midfield. And then Key, probably for the last time, in behind Cairns and Weaver up front. In fact, I'm going to swap Cairns and Weaver over. Quick pick is useless. Weaver can play as target man. Cairns can't. Yeah, it picks them that way round. Come on, quick pick. Use your brain. Just do them like that, and they both fit their positions better, you silly goose. Right, this is where we'll win 8-0 on this last game of the season, and imagine what might have been. But remember, context-wise, we are at home against the worst team in the division. Yes, they're managed by Omar, who's one of our former heroes. I didn't even realise he was managing them until he started dissing me in the press before the game, despite the fact that on my manager profile it says that he's one of the managers with the best opinion of me. So the smack talk he's been doing for the last week, if he's got a good opinion of me, I don't want to be left alone in a dark boardroom with one of the managers who doesn't like me. But Millwall have had a pitiful season, and we should beat them. All season long I would have been saying we should beat them. But the point is we haven't beaten any of these other teams around us, even in this little run-in, these last 6 games, where we had the opportunity to get out of trouble. We've played and lost to Grimsby, Rochdale, Ipswich, Sheffield United. These are all teams in and around us. If we'd have just beaten the teams in the bottom third of the league in the last 10 games, we'd have been safe. But even in that situation, nothing. Just nothing. We're terrible at the back. We need a proper goalkeeper. You lot whinged for so long about Robbie Nadat, but goodness me, Mitchell has been a step down from Nadat. I think, as you can see, we've got Robbie Nadat back on the bench today. He's back off of his loan. He's understudy to Griffiths. He'll get more game time. Robbie Nadat will never die. He will rise again. He's on his way back up. I'll probably release him in the summer after all that build-up. But our goalkeeper is just a shambles. We've relied on Joe Anderson at left back for too long, and I think the world has finally realised that Joe Anderson's a League 2 player. So as much fun as it has been, and as much as I wanted the romance story of him playing for us in every division, we're going back down to League 1 now. I don't want to have to keep him in the team for the next 3 or 4 years just to give him a game in the Premier League. He's going to be 32 by then anyway. It's time to move him on if he wants to leave. Maybe Sawyer's another one who we've held on to for too long. We've had him since the non-league. Oh, it's going to be a summer of upheaval. If we can afford to do it, we're going to have to sell some of these players on. An awful lot of relegation release clauses have kicked in. So it might even be outside of my hands which ones of these move on. Anyone who is any good. Basically, if you were to sit down with a pen and paper and make a list of the players from this squad that you would want to keep and build next season's team around, they're the ones who've had relegation release clauses kick in, all around about the £500,000 to £750,000 mark. So on the one hand, if they go, we're going to have £3, £4, £5 million in the bank, which will probably give us £1 million, £1.5 million to play with in the transfer budget. So I think we get to keep 30% of player sales. And then if they stay, then we've got good players to build the team around. Most of the trash we can probably move on fairly quickly because their contracts are all up with the likes of Anderson, Laskowski, I think their contracts are both up. I know they've been around for a long time. They are the last two who could have played for us in every division as well. Unless, of course, we go all the way back down to the Conference North and start again. Perhaps this is the start of an absolute collapse. And we'll see how many relegations we can get before the board sack me. I think at least I've still got the support of the fans, and rightly so, because we are playing in the Championship. It's our second season up in the Championship. 10 years ago we were playing in the National League North. To get 2 seasons in the Championship is ridiculous overachievement. And speaking as a posh fan as well, we've never managed more than 2 seasons in the Championship. We always get up there, have a half decent season, and then get relegated the next year. So to me, 2 seasons in the Championship ending in relegation, that feels like the pinnacle for any football club. It's certainly the pinnacle for the club I support. So I'm not that disappointed. I know I'm recording these quite far in advance, so at the moment I think we're on about the 3rd episode of this season that I've seen before recording it. And goodness me, are the comments turning on Kev already. But I would like to point out, we've still massively overachieved. Yes, we've had a bad season. Yes, mistakes were made, but we are still working on a shoestring budget. We didn't have the option to bring in 2 or 3 top defenders because there weren't any. We didn't have an option to bring in a better midfielder than Miles Darwin because there weren't any. Good players don't want to come to us. I think we do have to probably continue to pursue the Premier League youngster route. We're certainly going to have to go back to it this summer. And just hope we get another batch that come really, really good. And maybe, I don't know, maybe some of the ones who've now had their season in the Championship and struggled will go down to League One, dominate, and then move back up to the Championship. Much better players for it. Who knows? But all I know is that it was clear from the first game of the season, we were completely out of our depth. And I think a huge, huge part of that goes down to Andrew Skelton. We just massively missed him. He was a Premier League quality player and we just didn't know what to do without him. Right, we're going to bring Joe Anderson on, even though Lewis Taylor's having a cracking game, but I think there's a very good chance that for the second season in a row, our final game of the season could be saying goodbye to a club legend. I know I've dissed him a little bit in this episode, but it doesn't change the fact that he's played 407 games for us over the course of 11 years. He's been captain for 9 of those 11 years. Pretty much as soon as we hit the National League, Joe Anderson became our captain. He has led us up through the leagues, and I actually think it would be quite fitting if the next entry in this page is him playing for Grimsby in the Championship, because then it doesn't show that he went back down. But I think we're probably saying goodbye to Joe. So let's get him on, have one final performance, hopefully one more of those delicious deep crosses to land on the head of one of our centre forwards. And, Kev's getting all sad again. I need to start. Why have we just got strikers on the bench? Quick pick is useless. I mean, we don't need to bring on any other strikers. We've scored 4 goals today. If we'd have had this combination of strikers all year, with Key in behind, who, by the way, I've already set to release, and he's doing a 9.5, scored 2, made 1. I wonder if we need a little bit of a rethink on Key. Perhaps he should have been playing all season. Let's have a little look at him. So, James Key is 25 now. We've had him 2 years and never given him a chance. And he's just, yes, we're playing Millwall, give it that context, but Millwall are going to be one of the better teams in the division we're playing in next year. And if he can do that to them now, maybe we do need to keep him around, especially if we're letting Richardson leave. I will continue to ponder that one as I start to work my way through the pre-season. For the second season in a row as well, I'm not going to be able to live stream the pre-season. Again, it's all because of the fact I was away at Comic-Con at the weekend. Or, for you, I was away. For me, I've not gone yet. And right now it is half term, so I've got the kids off school. I can't be recording videos at the moment either, or streaming. So I'm going to continue this on. And once we get to sort of the end of this week, early next week, we'll be back doing the episodes in real time again. So in theory, if we go down Romp League 1, we can then do another live stream transfer window just before hitting the Championship again, like we did last time around, and then you lot can be there to supervise me to make sure I don't do anything stupid this time. The new ground is still due in 2 years' time. They haven't cancelled that yet. We should still get our big chunk of Championship money this summer, because we didn't get any the season we got promoted. We got it at the end of that season, so we got like £5.5–6 million in like June last year. So hopefully we've got another big bunch of cash coming in this summer. And then we just need to make sure we go straight back up at the first attempt. And then we'll just have one more year playing in this ground before we hit the new stadium, and everyone's happy. And it works perfectly then. We go back up in a much stronger position as a club with facilities better, the new ground almost finished. And I think we'll be in a much stronger position to compete next time we come up to this level. And well played the board for not sacking me for getting relegated. You are a bunch of heroes. Let me know down in the comments what you would do for your rebuild job. I know by the time I read them, I'll have already done it, but it'll be interesting to see if your suggestions match up with my suggestions. So who are the players from this current squad that you would be keeping to build a team around for next year? Do we do the 4-3-1-2 again down in League One, because we know how well it worked down there before? Or do we rethink from now and come back up with a tactic that will also work at this level? And who are your targets in the summer? What positions are you looking to strengthen? Bearing in mind we have no transfer budget to play with, and we're over our wage budget, so we can't go out and get established Championship League One level centre backs. That's not on the agenda. We can try and find some scraps that have been released by someone if we can release a whole bunch of our players first. But that's the plan for the summer. I'm just checking I still haven't been sacked. Good, I still haven't been sacked. Excellent stuff. And I guess we'll leave it there. Hopefully that's not going to be the final ever episode in the Championship. That's been a rubbish season. Hopefully. I said this way back at the start of the save because someone reminded me of it last week when we were really, really struggling at the start of the save. In fact, I think it might have even been in Non-League to Legend when we were really struggling at Alfreton. I said, it's moments like this that you look back on when you're in that Champions League final, and it makes it all the sweeter. If you just get promoted, and it's never hard, where's the achievement in winning the Champions League? This is our dark night. This is our moment of adversity. And when we do storm back up, and when we do hit the Premier League, and when we do get to that Champions League final, we'll look back on moments like this, and we'll feel like we've earned the success. Because goodness me, right now, has it been blooming hard. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.